Hello Rat Bags, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome to a special access show. Today we're taking a look at No Man's Sky, scheduled for release, a brand new update on the 24th of July and coming to Xbox for the first time. There is a sense of excitement brewing for this game. Undoubtedly there's going to be skepticism, undoubtedly there's going to still be a lot of angry people remembering how the launch of the game ended up being and how many broken promises there were from developers on what was actually in the game. I'm not really going to cover that too much. This is more about the future and about what happens next, and that is the title of the next update. The update will be launching with the Xbox One version, and of course it's coming to PS4 and Steam as well. There is a huge amount of information that I want to get through, including all the details you need to know about the update, what it's going to contain, what you can really do, obviously showing off the brand new multiplayer and third person mode that you can go into and play the whole of the game. We're also going to be taking a look at the developers, what they've been saying up to lead up and how they felt about the launch of the game. Not only that, there's brand new information just come through today that they're going to be updating the game weekly. They're treating this almost like a live service, a little bit similar to Sea of Thieves' weekly content plans, as well as other games that do stuff to help foster more community stuff to go on and updates. They're still going to be updating the game majorly as well. Expansions are not going to stop in terms of the scope and stuff they're going to be adding to it majorly, but they're going to be doing these weekly little updates. So lots of new information to give you. I want to go over everything there is to do in No Man's Sky ahead of launch. I am actually excited. I will be playing this game when the update drops for the very first time on the 24th of July. No Man's Sky has had 3 major updates since its launch 2 years ago. The first of these was the Foundation update, which added a bunch of brand new features, but mostly the most exciting was Survival Mode and Creative Mode. These added a brand new option, a new way to play the game. They also added a bunch of new technology advances with your mining tools and the ability to make your own bases on specific points on planets. Well, that has changed for the next update. You will be able to build anywhere, on any planet, any location. If you want to build a base underwater, you can do so. If you want to build multiple bases, you can now do so. It's not a simple case of having smaller little pods. You can now build up to 20,000 pieces on your base to expand and do what you want with. This expands to the multiplayer component as well. Players that join you will be able to share in whatever way you are playing the game. If you're at an advanced stage of the story, players will be able to take part in that advanced story with you. If you're at the very beginning, you can do that. While playing a session together or party together, you can go off and do your own missions, fly off across the galaxy. It's not going to tie you to any one situation. You'll be able to build bases alongside your friends, do everything. It isn't a case of hosting a universe for your friends. You are all just living in the same space, the same universe. You can trade with each other directly, you can give each other items straight into your inventory, and it's become much more simplified and easier to do. People expecting a full PvP experience may be a bit disappointed. From what I've looked into and all the interviews that Sean Murray's done over the last few weeks, PvP aspects are going to be quite light. It's not going to be a case of going to someone's home planet, destroying all of their base and taking all of their resources and then pissing off again. It's more a case of having dogfights with other players, light PvP elements where the only really significant, risk is your ship being destroyed and you having to pay some resources to rebuild another one. Obviously that could be a big deal for some people, I'm sure it is. I haven't played No Man's Sky in a while, but it's definitely a lot lighter compared to what most PvP survival games have in them, which is complete demolition of other players' bases and taking their resources. That won't be happening in No Man's Sky. I really doubt it. We've seen nothing from the interviews they've given. I've found no information to say that base raiding is going to be a thing. It's down to dogfights, and that's the way the PvP is going to go. They also explains how that works as well with co-op. So when you've got 4 of your friends playing in the world, or 4 of you all together, you will be able to shoot each other, you will be able to grief each other, destroy each other's airships, but you'll just simply respawn somewhere across the map or the world. There is going to be multiplayer specific missions that are best taken on with friends, so you'll be able to go and do certain stuff, and if this will come in the form of appearing on your freighter and using the Galactic Commission Station to kick off challenge missions. So it might be a case of who can scan the most items in a small space of time, or who can get the first mineral deposit in the quickest time. When you add some of the new vehicle types that's going to be like the exoskeleton style walkers that we've seen from the trailer, and the fact that previous updates added racetrack abilities so that you could build and craft your own racetracks, you'll now be able to do them races with your friends rather than just sharing them with random strangers. So a really good improvement. Multiplayer and co-op looks like it's the way to play this game together. It's going to be fun, it's going to be enjoyable, going around planets, exploring, maybe setting each other challenges, taking part in the missions that are available, and just really seeing who can, get the most resources and just fly around together and have some fun. A few things to point out though: you won't be able to carry your friends in your starship, it's still just one player starships, but your freighters will obviously be able to have your players dock and your friends, and you can create and do whatever you want on your freighters. You do all have to be sharing the same save game file though, so you can't be jumping from a survival world with that character over to someone else's normal world or someone's creative world. You all have to be using that same file, so progress carries over. So if you've got 3 games running, if you've got a creative, a normal and survival character on all 3 of them, then you would have to use one of them characters to go and visit whoever your friend's world is set in. So if they've got creative mode, you have to use your creative character, likewise survival, likewise normal. So maybe you don't necessarily like multiplayer. What is there going to be for you? Well, if you wanted to always see your character, if you wanted more customizations and that feeling that it was you, your character exploring the universe, that is now available because it is third person. You will be able to see yourself, you'll be able to see what you're wearing, you'll be able to customize what you're wearing, and you'll be able to choose your own race. You'll be able to see what kind of race you want to be and choose a different one. You don't have to be human. When you choose a shorter alien species, you will be shorter and your view will be different from other players. So bear that in mind when choosing what race you're going to be if you're starting up a brand new game. No wording yet on how it works with compatible saves already. I presume it's just going to carry over and there's going to be no one saying you have to restart a world. That would pretty much be a big deal. I'm sure they would have mentioned by now. So I presume whatever you've got going on at the moment, maybe it'll be a case of going to like a cosmetics unit and then choosing what race you want when you first boot up the updated game on the 24th. A big part of one of the first early updates was freighters. Now freighters can be gained a lot quicker. In fact, you get a free freighter at the very start of the game when you load up after the update has hit. Or so I'm led to believe. Within the first few hours or hour of playing the game, you'll be able to access this brand new free freighter. You can then build your own armada. You can have loads of frigates alongside you, and they're not just there for show. You can send them on missions, procedurally generated missions in fact, where they will go off and gather resources and bring them back to you. You'll be able to follow these frigates as they go off on a mission, so you could protect them if you wanted to. If that was the case, maybe there is some sort of altercation with another player, or maybe it's just a simple case of making sure, seeing what they get up to. You can follow your frigates as they go on these procedurally generated missions. So very interesting in terms of what you can do with them. It adds a little bit more to the frigate system, which just wasn't there with the freighters, the capital ships, etc. The freighters are much more now customizable. You'll be able to do certain things with them, and they're just like huge hangars where you can put different style building pieces. Like I said, the building has undergone changes. It's not just a case of big pods, they're smaller tiles now, so you may be able to put specific walls in certain places, certain hatch frames, certain ceiling pieces. This is all going to be available now rather than just linking pods together. The freighter system also gives you the ability to have over 50 of these frigates or these freighters. They can all have their own specialisation, and you can send them all off on their missions, like I said, separately or together. When I told you guys about the multiplayer aspects as well, it doesn't just end or start with co-op or dogfights with other players in space. There will be community things like a community galaxy map where you can place points of interest for other people to find. There will be a sort of heat map showing where the most people are playing or doing certain things in the game, in the universe, in certain sectors, and this just adds a little bit of extra interest to it. There will be even leaderboards to show how many players have explored the most in certain areas, as well as what is the most explorable areas and what isn't. This galaxy map is how you're going to access the weekly updates information and where you can get rewards for completing challenges. You will get in-game currency that you can use to purchase on stuff. And don't worry, there is no microtransactions. This is all 100% free. They're not going to be adding microtransactions where you can buy any of this second currency and then go and buy whatever you want from the store or the shop. No, it is all just in-game. It's all just a bonus, all free in-game content that you can earn, and it's all part of this weekly content that they're adding. It really does seem, from everything I'm reading with first-hand playtime of it as yet I haven't actually had the chance myself, showing that they've revamped a lot of the stuff. The very beginning of the game has become a lot easier to play. It's no longer going to be that super difficult or, you know, overwhelming. The systems in the game have become more complex, but it's going to be explained to you in a lot better fashion. The look of the game has improved greatly. They're saying that it's just much more evened and not as crazy looking, that some planets were just a bit weird with the shape and geometry. It really feels like it's fitting in. Lots more vegetation, and just the lighting effects and everything else just looks really different. It really feels much fresher and feels much more whole. Alongside them upgrades, like I said earlier, you will have access to a capital ship or a freighter. You'll also be given the terraformer weapon a little bit quicker as well, so you'll be able to go and do that, make your base, craft it into the landscape however you want, because you will now be able to build, like I said, anywhere ever you want in the universe. Using the terrain manipulator, you can also search for new buried treasure that will be put on certain worlds, or on nearly all the worlds, and you'll be able to go and hunt for this treasure and just basically dig it out and get something really cool. Previous updates added a bunch of new story content, so I don't necessarily think this one's going to have that much in it in terms of new stuff to explore that way, but certainly for returning players like me who haven't actually touched the game more or less since launch, it's going to be definitely an experience I want to get into. I am actually looking forward to playing this. I was so hyped and excited about No Man's Sky, and I, like many others, felt bitterly disappointed it wasn't the game I expected it to be based on what the developers said it was. But not only that, it was just a little bit boring. I think that was what bugged me more than what the lies came from the developers. It just didn't have enough in it at the time. It didn't have a reason to go and exploring. No doubt about it, No Man's Sky isn't a bombastic Starfield, explosion filled, story contented game. It is a chilled game. It's one of these ones that you will pick up and play and come back to over time, and maybe play when you just want to chill out and not think too seriously about something. So definitely don't be buying into this game if you're going to be picking it up on the Xbox for the first time. If you're expecting to have thousands of hours of story or dialogue, there will be many moments still where you'll be on your own just exploring, really chilled out times. But the multiplayer does add a huge, massive scope in change to how you play the game, and if you've got a good core of friends to go exploring it with, I think it's going to be amazing to start something up. So I'm really looking forward to starting something up. I'm open to do it with Mid Gamer, a good friend of mine, and anyone else that wants to join my party. It'd be really cool to get some rat bags and join us. So that's pretty much what the scope of next is. 24th of July coming, what we're expecting to see, but what else has been happening with No Man's Sky? The developers, Hello Games, have been very active on social media, and they've even done their first interview. For the first time in nearly 2 years, Sean Murray has spoke to a journalist from The Guardian, Kes MacDonald. In the interview, he spoke about the death threats he received and what the company received in terms of bomb threats. It just was a very harsh time for them, and he's learnt a lesson from it. He did explain, he did talk how sometimes he still felt it was a bit overzealous, how people could be so upset by the fact that maybe butterflies were promised in the game and they weren't, and so that constituted in them receiving a death threat. I kid you not, that's the length and breadth of what some people stupidly did. Undoubtedly, despite any misgivings you can have about developers, no developer deserves death threats or any type of, threats like that. That is absolutely ludicrous. So No Man's Sky, I really hope this continues rehabilitation for Hello Games and Sean Murray. He does admit he got a bit caught up. They were pushed for time and they just couldn't simply fit in the features he wanted. It wasn't just the time though. Obviously time is usually equal in money, and they had run out of money. Simply put, without the cash injection from Sony, and that's why it made a Sony exclusive and why Sony backed it so big, they don't think they may have been able to actually finish the game in the current state it was. So they definitely needed to get it out at that time. They couldn't delay it any longer. They had to have something viable. And so the last 2 years has been a process of reintegrating the features that were missing, but not just the features that were missing, features they'd spoken about or trialled beforehand and hadn't actually put in. This isn't just a case of what was missing from them trailers at E3 way back in 2015 and 2014. This is about what the developers think the best idea is for the game currently today. It's easy to jump on the bandwagon and say, I'm never going to trust Hello Games, never going to trust this, blah, 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 blah. How many games have you played in the last 2 years that have got better over time? How many games have you played that have said they are the final releases, yet have received content that has made it unrecognisable? When you think about most of the Ubisoft games like The Division, Rainbow Six Siege, how often have they improved? They've improved massively from what they were at release because developers took on board the feedback, the criticism, and they implemented stuff. Now, Hello Games were a bit different. They, of course, did go to a bit more, you know, with the PR. Just didn't have anyone really controlling what was going on with that, and they overhyped it. But it wasn't just them. We overhyped it as well as gamers, and the journalists were just as much to blame. No Man's Sky was an indie game first. It wasn't a AAA game. But the minute Sony started pumping money into it, we started treating it a little bit more differently. And because the game was one of the first poster boys for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox eras, where it was something truly exceptional and different, I really do think we bought into that and we hyped it up just as much as developers did. Now, that's a personal opinion. You can disagree with me that. You might not took no part in that, of course, but if you was a fan of the game when it was approaching release and you'd followed its development, it was definitely one of the hype things that made me actually buy a PlayStation. I knew it was going to be coming to the PlayStation. I didn't think it'd be exclusive forever, but I definitely knew it was coming to the PlayStation first, and that's what prompted me to buy a PlayStation over an Xbox first. Of course, I did pick up an Xbox eventually, but that is why I got a PlayStation 4. It was for No Man's Sky. It was for the look of it. Will Hello Games ever get rid of the stigma of being the first true poster boys for not believing the hype? I know that sounds a bit crazy after so many years of game development and games coming out on systems, but No Man's Sky really did take that hype generation to a new level, and the disappointment with that hype not living up to it was just absolutely incredible. But when you think about what No Man's Sky is today, 2 years on, you could probably pick it up for like a tenner in a second-hand store. I know that's how much you can find it in the UK. If not, you're probably sitting on your hard drive. You've probably had a chance to buy it on sale multiple times over the last 2 years as well. So there really is no excuse to rag on this update. There is no excuse to rag on the game anymore. You may have been butthurt by the time it came out and what happened then, but right now it's got free content. Everything is free. They've added core features that were missing, and although it's taken a long time, what has it really cost anyone? I'm sure you didn't just stop playing games for them 2 years. Were so heartbroken by the wrongness of No Man's Sky that was it. You shut off your Xbox and your PS4 and you just said, nope, I'm done with gaming. And of course, that is the other aspect. It wasn't available on the Xbox. It's only been available now. So people who really only stick to one system, who can't afford to buy two systems or don't switch between systems, this is going to be your first chance of jumping into it. What a fantastic way to start a brand new life with a game. Seeing all the bad things that have happened, but also seeing the improvements, seeing how much effort has been put into making the game whole again and adding new features that the community wanted. Make no mistake, a lot of the features added aren't just simply what the game didn't have in the trailers. It is about what the community have implemented and put ideas into Hello Games' head, as well as stuff that they've obviously seen. So I'm saying give it a chance. You should have been able to buy it pretty cheap. For them Xbox people that are buying it full price, rip. Unfortunately, you guys are probably going to have to be a little bit more bumhurt in probably paying full price for it. But it may be worth it. It really may be worth paying full price for this game right now with all this content. And that's all I've got to say. It's my opinion. I'm not expecting you all to agree with me. I'm sure there's still going to be loads of butthurt kids out there and adults as equally butthurt that just don't want to touch the game because of the broken promises. But honestly, if you've got it on your PlayStation 4 or you bought it, or you know, you can pick it up for a tenner, what excuse do you have in not giving it a go and seeing if it has improved? So to that end, expect some content from me on No Man's Sky. Up until then, I'm going to do a few little live streams now and then. Maybe I may even do a little video let's play or a little look at what No Man's Sky is like before the update. And then of course on launch day on Xbox One and the PS4, the next update, I will be highlighting and showing you guys what to expect. Who knows, if I enjoy it that much, maybe I'll do some guides. I'm not about to turn my channel over to No Man's Sky. That is what I originally planned, believe it or not. Ark was picking up for me on Xbox One, and you know, it was doing well for me and I was getting lots of subscribers, but I was ready to ditch it for No Man's Sky because I truly thought No Man's Sky was going to be the next big gaming thing. Funny how things turn out. I am Jade Plays Games. This has been a look at No Man's Sky, all the information you needed to know about the next update, a little bit of history into the game and what the future holds. Make sure you hit like on that like button, make sure you've joined notifications, you've got them on, and I'll see you rat bags very soon.